very, very important.
No,
It is
that's
not
not it.
enough.
That's not what I want.
Bad basketball. The refs killed the game, and I will be the
This
first
is
to
awful
admit.
too.
Texans who will forever regret passing on Johnny
Is that serious
Manziel.
right now?
Golden Boy's coming
what?
back.
And he wants to come back.
Dancing with the
No.
Stars.
And
Dancing with the
he
Stars.
called
No.
out
No.
Conor McGregor.
Oh, shit.
No.
That's
God,
true.
no.
Yes.
Hey,
It's a true
motherfucker.
story.
This I can get into.
And welcome back. You are listening to the one and only Scout Team Sports. I am Loudbeard. Kyle Sanders. Sitting to my right is
Chris America.
America.
How come you always get announced before me?
Because I'm to his right. You're not to his right.
I mean, goddamn, you can't
Do you
go to
want
the
to
left,
switch?
motherfucker.
To the left, to the left.
I'm just saying, the man
To
with
the
the
right,
All the
mic,
boxes are to the
everybody,
left.
everybody dissing on me, man. That's all I'm saying. Bro.
Hey,
I mean,
I saved the best for last. Is that not good enough for you?
that sound creepy when you
You
said
go
that. Don't
and
do that.
save the best for last. Is that how the song goes?
Was that a black guy that sung that?
I don't know.
No, it wasn't a black guy that sung that.
It was Luther Vandross.
He's a motherfucking lie.
I knew that would get you
I know
going.
that shit.
I knew that would get you going.
All right.
So
How was everybody's New Year's? We went on
It's 2018.
forever with UCF football. So let's shoot
hey, it's 2018. I'm having a great new year. I don't know about you guys. I went to the Peach Bowl UCF. That was fun. But also, you get to start fresh in the new year. You get to enjoy life for what it is.
Hey.
Super Bowl's coming up. That's going to be a lot of fun. I get to sit here and argue with Anthony for hours over dumb shit. I love it. I love it. It's the best.
Hey, just think, if Y2K was a baby, it would be an adult right now.
Damn.
Holy crap.
It'd be going to college. It'd be,
Wow.
probably getting a computer degree of some sort.
I mean,
Y2K, 18 years ago.
that and also something interesting. Somebody, I was in the store and somebody was buying beer. They were ahead of me, and the lady asked for their ID, and it was like 1995. And you hit those little moments, and you're like, "Holy shit!" You're
Like,
old
I
as
remember
shit.
that vividly, 1995. Like, I was
I remember OJ as
Yeah.
a child.
Hey,
and
I'm
now
just-
these are adults that
these
were
are
born
adults,
that same
dude.
year.
He looked back at me like, "You want some?" Nah, dude, I'm good, man. I can't drink with young people.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. I liked Y2K. I worked at a warehouse club at the time, and I was one of those guys just loading stuff into people's car. That month leading up to Y2K, I had so many like conspiracy theorists and like crazy hoarders and people that had like basements that they had turned into like safe zones. And I got to hear all these amazing stories as I was loading 50 cases of water into the back of their like 1972 Chevy pickup truck. And you're like, dude, seriously?
Do you think they finally ran out of those supplies?
No.
Dude, they're still there. But listen, hey, look, I always wanted to ask somebody because I worked in grocery stores. I worked in beer too. I wonder, did anybody ever try to bring back the water? You know, you buy 60 cases of water. I always wondered, like, dude, like, it's over. It's like nothing happened. What are you going to do with all that water? I wonder, did anybody ever try to bring it back?
So you can see like Publix here. It's a southeastern store chain that they take back anything. It doesn't matter. Like they have a policy. If
Yeah,
you have one
customer
drop of
service.
milk left in your carton, you can still come back and say, I didn't like this milk, and they'll give you
Yeah,
your money back.
customer
So
service.
I can imagine like 3 or 4 days once that hoarder realized, all right,
shit, ain't nothing
I
happening.
got duped again, and he's just sitting there, and there's some poor cashier at Publix ringing up each and every water, and some stock boy having to go and take it to the back.
I always wondered that.
The
That's
answer is
crazy.
yes. There are people that are crazy enough to bring stuff
back
back.
water.
Now,
If
I
they're
don't.
crazy enough to believe in Y2K, they're
crazy enough to
definitely
bring it
crazy
back.
enough to bring
I was never. I never witnessed it myself. I never saw somebody bring that back, not from Y2K, because those people were crazy enough where they thought they needed those
Yeah,
supplies for something. But-
Y2K1.
But working in retail, I worked in retail 12 years of my life. The shit that people would try to bring back, and I worked at a store that had that same like no questions asked policy, and they would bring back a whole rack of ribs and bring back like one rib and say this shit was awful, and you're
Holy
like,
shit.
did you eat all of it?
That's
Well, yeah, because I didn't have anything else to eat. But here's the one rib at the end that I have left over. And I'm like, all right, let's give you a refund. And you're sitting there on the inside just dying. Like, I want to tell you off.
Forget the Publix cashier having to ring up Waters. Imagine the bankruptcy judge who had to have thousands of cases where people were like, bro, I thought shit was gonna erase, so I just got every credit card that's possible to man and just started buying stuff.
Yeah, good point.
I didn't know I'd have to actually pay this stuff off.
True story. Did you know that whenever you buy a house, in the contract clause, when the closing agent is reading to you, they have to tell you have to pay the bill. You have to pay the mortgage, because a lady sued the bank because she went into foreclosure and she sued him. She says, no one ever told me I had to pay this money back. And she actually won. So now, for every closing, you have to tell people you have to
And that's
pay.
like the hot coffee story.
Ignorance is
It's
bliss.
true.
Now
Ignorance is
McDonald's has to
bliss,
put
buddy.
hot coffee on every one of their coffee cups
Yeah.
because they got
Exactly.
sued and lost
Man.
because they had hot coffee.
I always equate this back to like the first, like the first guy like put one over on everybody. Like nobody ever thought about this. Like the first guy to taste onions.
Or the first guy on his email to do a phishing scam.
Exactly, dude.
He's like, this
the
is so
first.
easy. I
The
just have to go to
first.
I just have to
I was
pretend
the
I'm a
first.
Nigerian prince and,
Yeah, dude.
and things work.
Look,
Yeah.
dude, don't you wish you can go back in time and like, you know what? I want to buy that $1 million house and use this deal before this lady. Like, hey, look, no one told me I had to pay for it, and they'll be like, holy shit, you're right. Like,
Nah,
yeah,
man,
I'm
I just
rich.
want to be the guy that puts sleeves on a blanket and sell it.
Oh, the
Become a
Snuggie,
millionaire.
man.
Dude, you know what? True story. Another true story. I got an email a couple of years back, and it said something about selling movies out of a box. Would you like to be an entrepreneur and sell movies out of a box? And I said, this is the stupidest thing ever.
Like a red box, maybe?
It was Redbox.
Oh,
Dude,
man.
I had an old Yahoo email that I actually created at Lyman High School, and it was like, that Yahoo let anything through, so it wasn't phishing or scams back then. So we got this email, and I was like, "That's the stupidest thing ever. Why would anybody buy movies out of a box?"
Blockbuster is going to be reigning king forever. Why would we ever go to a
Exactly.
box?
dude, we're talking to people. Most of them don't even know who Blockbuster is. Like, what are you talking about?
Now,
That's
I read an
crazy to
article that there is still one Blockbuster in
There is.
Alaska
There is.
that is like
Yeah,
killing
it's-
it.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
lit.
I follow
There's
him on
no
Twitter.
Wi-Fi, so people can't stream stuff.
Right.
Because they're in remote places. They come out and they buy like dozens of videos at a time so that they can have them at their house.
Dude, they are funny. They're on Twitter, and they are absolutely
Oh, the Alaska
hilarious.
Blockbuster?
Oh, dude,
Oh,
they're
man.
hilarious, man. They're awesome. But yeah, the first. It's always the first. I messed up. I wish I would have said, you know what? Movies out of a box. I'll do it.
So I'd like to
yeah.
be the first guy to say, I did not think that I should bet on the Buffalo Bills this year to make the playoffs. Because if I was the first guy to say that, I could have made a ton of effing money. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of was, at least out of this group, but I still didn't bet on it.
Right? No, nobody would have bet on it.
Didn't
Yeah,
bet on it, but
that wouldn't be like
Yeah.
a smart bet.
Yeah,
That would be
yeah.
one of those like you could say it, but when you actually
you
put
don't
your
put
money on it, you're
Yeah,
like,
you don't put money on it.
"Eh."
Hey, the Bills are the Jaguars.
Now the Jaguars.
Oh, the
No.
Jaguars is even worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody thought the Jaguars.
No,
were-
I
we were
didn't
kind of
think
on the
so.
same way because with the Bills, we were saying, oh, they just traded everybody away. They're tanking.
Yep.
With the Jaguars, we're like, Blake Bortles can't get it figured out. They're benching him. They're gonna start Chad Henne. They don't know what to do, so they're not gonna make it.
Well, the
Yeah.
funny part is the year before is when the Jags were, or like everybody's like darling pick to make the playoffs. They're like, they got to pull it together. They have the talent. This is their year, and everybody got burned so many years in a row where they're like, you know what? They aren't that good. And then
Yeah.
they come out and they ball like crazy ball.
hard.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm surprised. That's got to be the surprise two teams of the season. Right?
Well, it's funny because I was listening to our old episodes, and our argument with the AFC South was Texans or Titans. Texans or Titans.
man.
And even when Deshaun Watson was good and he was lighting it up, the Texans were still losing.
yeah,
And the Titans
They were.
just, I mean, they're in the playoffs, but they're not really a team you have
Nah.
any confidence in.
I don't have
have
any
more
confidence
confidence
in
in the Bills than I do the Titans.
I got confidence in the Bills.
Right.
I got confidence in the Bills. Like I think the Bills are going to get to the second round. I think they're going to beat the Jaguars.
So I'm going to throw this out there. We're
I said
talking
that real silently. You saw how I went low?
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. We're talking AFC playoffs, and I'm going to be the first to admit I was wrong with my Chargers prediction. But I want to throw this out there. The Chargers manhandled the Bills earlier in the year. Do we think that the NFL playoffs, the way they have it constructed, like, should the Chargers have been in over the Bills? Should the Ravens have been in? They all had the same record.
no.
We're not starting this
yeah, we're not doing this
NCAA
again,
beauty
bro.
pageant.
I'm
like,
just saying.
committee.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Hey, look, there's a set of rules, okay?
Right.
But they've already burned the NFL down like 3 or 4 times. We're not burning it down again, all right?
My only rule that I would change with all of the professional leagues is just have a straight best records in playoff. Forget divisions and all this other garbage. Like I said, I hate seeing an 8-8 Chargers go in over an 11-5 Bills. So with that said, the rules are the rules, and it's just what we got to live by. Try better next year, Chargers. Sorry you didn't get in. You should have beat the Chiefs a couple weeks ago.
They came back from an 0-4 start.
They
Good
did.
For them. And honestly, I have no tie to.
I mean, right now the San Francisco 49ers are the hottest team in the league, so why not put them in?
But
Hey, good point.
They've
Garoppolo,
been undefeated since they got
He's
Janine
out there.
Garoppolo.
He's killing it. And somebody was.
nah, I ain't going to go there. I'm not going to go there.
You're not going to go there?
I'm not going to go there. I heard somebody had the same kind of passer rate and yardage and everything as Jimmy Garoppolo.
Is that Timmy Tebow?
No, their last 5 games of the season.
Cameron Newton?
Colin Kaepernick.
Oh.
See, I saw that too. And this was.
It's true. You saw it.
Here's the deal, though. There's a lot of discrepancies in that because statistics can be
Yeah.
manipulated in ways that make people believe what they want to believe, and you can put them towards what you want. So you can say
Straight
that
numbers.
straight numbers. So wins and losses, was that in that?
Okay, wins and losses wasn't.
But
in
is
there.
that an important figure?
I mean, if you're talking about the team, yes. But you're talking about an individual.
No, I don't care. A quarterback, it's important.
No, you're talking about an individual. Oh, so okay. Once again, we're talking about wins and losses.
Right.
Your boy didn't make it to the playoffs again.
Who?
Is he top 5?
Yes, he is.
Here we go.
So
Here we go.
you're twisting the subject.
But I will say this, though. Janine Garofalo, her or his numbers with wins and losses are on the same exact team that Kaepernick was on. Obviously, the only difference is the coach, but I would think that Kaepernick's skill set fits more of what Chip Kelly wants to do than it does. Who's their coach?
Shanahan.
I can't keep track of your Redskin disciples that are taking over
Sean
the NFL.
McVay.
I agree
Kyle
with you on that.
Shanahan.
But if they have the same numbers, and you're talking about this is the future of the franchise, and his numbers aren't better than the guy that didn't get signed all season, what are we talking about?
So I agree that the guy should have been signed. So you're saying he didn't get signed all season. He should have been signed at some point. I thought it was going to happen. I'm actually in shock that it never
There's a lot of
did.
injuries
He's
out there.
basically been blackballed by the owners. When Oprah buys the North Carolina Panthers,
I hope so.
Then it might be a little bit of a different.
You know why?
Oprah's
I want.
now?
You know why I want Oprah to buy my Panthers. I'll finally go. I'll drive up to Charlotte and I'll go to a Panthers game, and I want Oprah to come out in halftime and be like, "Everybody, look under your seat," and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's a Mercedes Benz!" Yes.
I'll tell you what. If Oprah, hell, if I'm gonna be honest with you, if any black guy, any black woman buys the North Carolina Panthers, I'm gonna be a fucking fan.
Let's go.
I like how they've become the North Carolina Panthers.
The North
now.
Carolina Panthers. Yeah.
That's what they are now. There's no Carolina. It's just North Carolina.
South Carolina gets no love.
Obviously,
No
the first thing
love.
they're doing is changing the name.
Yeah, we're going north, straight North Carolina Panthers. But yeah, I saw a rumor Oprah might be getting a group together to buy the Panthers.
She don't even need a group. She could buy that
she
team
by herself.
She could probably look
She
underneath.
can seriously buy it herself. Like, I mean, that I saw that and I didn't take any stock into it, but I guess
She could look at her fun account and pay for it.
I guess you can
Right.
charge it to the game.
I've got the Mad Money account. Oh, I'm going to buy the Carolina
Yeah.
Panthers with that. I don't need it for anything
We'll
else.
charge it to the game. It'll be
Damn,
fine. Hey, dude,
Oprah.
but if she did, I would be a fan.
So,
Absolutely.
Hold on,
Back
let me
to
ask you
Cap
something.
and
Wait,
Garoppolo.
I want to ask something. Since we're speaking about billionaires, if you were a billionaire, would you pay for everything with metal briefcases full of money?
Obviously, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be like,
I would not. I would be going to McDonald's as the $5 menu, and I'm like metal briefcase, boom.
Well, obviously, and you got to got the helicopter to drop you off there.
Yes.
Yeah, you just take the helicopter, drop off, and be like, "Hey, look, here you go." Be like, it was only like a $20 car wash, man.
If I was doing that though, I'd be doing it like Magnum PI style, having the 80s like little bubble helicopter
There you
and
go.
have Magnum PI flying it for me.
You guys would hate me though, because I would do the helicopter thing, but then when we're trying to figure out where to meet me for lunch, I'd be like, no, we can't go to that one because I can't land the helicopter anywhere. You guys are gonna have to drive on the other side of town. And you'll be like, why can't you just pick me up in the helicopter? I'm like, we don't got time for that.
This Tijuana Flats has a helipad.
Yeah.
All right? So
This one has a flat enough roof
Yeah,
and
we're like
a
right
ladder
here.
access that I can climb down.
A ladder. You got stairs that go straight through the building, homie. Yeah, make them for you.
I don't.
That's
got
what I would
time
do. That's what I would
Paying
do.
for all these Tijuana flats to have metal
Dude,
stairs.
it's
for
Taco
me.
Tuesday. Shit, you saving the money on the tacos,
true.
right? Yeah.
Which I would still again pay for.
I
with
think
a
I'd
metal
go-
briefcase full of money.
I think I'd rather go to Chipotle.
I'd
I'll
be
tell you
like,
both.
don't worry,
Yeah,
guys.
they're both good.
You guys would reach for your wallets, and I'd reach for the metal briefcase. I got it today, guys.
Yeah.
Slam
Taco
it on-
Tuesday. You can't beat Taco Tuesdays at Tijuana Flats. Chipotle is my go-to, but Taco Tuesday is Taco Tuesday, homie. I mean, shit, 2 tacos, $5.
Hey,
You're
can't
in
go
it, man.
wrong.
There you go.
I mean,
What are we
Oprah.
talking
You
about?
look
again?
at the cashier, but
We
can,
were-
you, can you break a gold bar for me, please? All I got is a gold bar. Can you break it for
Yeah,
me?
you can have it. Just fine. You're good. What are
So we were talking about Cap and Garoppolo.
Okay, yeah, we got.
Real quick, I'm going to finish my thought on this guy.
ahead.
So the difference is the changing of the guard. You had Cap, who had his shot, took him to the Super Bowl. They did not win. And Alex
Sorry,
Smith.
coach.
Alex Smith was part of that. Yeah, Harbaugh. Sorry, coach.
Fuck Harbaugh.
And so Cap had a few seasons there, and it kind of diminished the results that the team had. And then he was benched, and he got another shot for a really bad 49ers team that Chip Kelly was coaching, and it just didn't work out, so he's off the team. Now, his stats that year that they had a bad team, it could not be necessarily his fault. Some of it could be the team around him, but his stats weren't great, but he did have a good percentage, and his touchdown to interception ratio was good. So now you're looking at Garoppolo, and he's got similar stats to Kaepernick his last 5 games. But the difference is Jimmy Garoppolo got traded for. He has now been given the keys to the car, and they're winning games ever since he started. So now the team is giving him, or fans are giving him all the credit in the world, even though it's a team effort, because they are winning. It doesn't matter how you get there as long as you win the game.
I'm not hating on Jimmy G though. I like Jimmy Garoppolo.
You think it's the Cap problem.
well, I mean,
No.
like-
Cap is a problem. I don't hate on Jimmy G because he deserves it. Hell, he sat under Tom Brady for all those years, and now he's over there playing ball. Congratulations. But we saw injury after injury and quarterbacks that had no business being on the field. Like seriously, we can go off the top of the dome and play 6-7 teams that like, dude, you should have signed Cap. Hell, my Green Bay Packers, after watching Brett Hundley, should have signed fucking Cap.
I mean, once
We should've signed
Deshaun Watson went down,
They should have signed Cap.
Because going from
Seriously.
Deshaun Watson to, is it Tom Savage? I don't even know what his
Savage.
first name is.
Tom
Just
Savage.
Like, it's like going apples
Night and day,
to
man.
apples to grease fire.
They
like,
would have been better
like-
with TJ Yates in
Like
there.
they jumped into a Ferrari and ended up in a Yugo. Like
Yeah.
seriously, man. Come on, bro. After we see all of that, it still bothers me. Like we saw sorry quarterbacks after sorry quarterbacks.
There was 4 or 5 scenarios this year.
Tyrod
that
Taylor
easily,
got benched.
Yeah, and that was a.
That was stupid. Eli got benched. Man, get the fuck out of here, dude. I'm out.
So Geno Smith should not have played. The Geno Smith thing, out of control, man. Eli
right.
Manning benched for Geno Smith. Yeah, I'm with you. Put Cap in there all day long.
So we all agree Cap should have been
got
signed.
Yeah.
We all agree Jimmy G's doing good, and I think we all agree that John Lynch made yet again another stellar trade that worked out in the long run. Because think about it, all he lost was a 2nd-round pick, and he basically got what he could not have gotten from Kirk Cousins. Is basically a 4-week tryout. Let me see what this quarterback looks like with our roster and our team and our coach. And he would have never gotten that with Kirk Cousins. He would have had to just made the gamble and sign Kirk Cousins to the big contract. At least with Jimmy G, he could have given up a second round, and let's say Jimmy G came out and played like garbage. He gets to say,
goodbye.
All right, see ya. I spent a second round pick. I would have spent that on a guy that would probably be cut from the team 2 years from now anyway. So it is what it is. Now he knows when he goes to sign Jimmy G to the similar contract that he would have signed Kirk Cousins to, it's a semi-sure thing.
It's a safer bet. And I think the wild card in that equation is that San Francisco would have had to wait to see what Kirk Cousins is going to do. There's no certainty in that situation that Kirk Cousins becomes a free agent.
Right, I mean...
And if he does become a free agent, how many other teams are going to be vying for his, skills?
Right, and then they would have to... What's
Your
that?
boy's in denial over there. Like, if he's a free agent.
Honestly, the way the Redskins have been operating with Kirk Cousins,
you
I have no idea. I
think he's out.
Hey, if he's gone, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying that he's definitely going to stay. I just have no earthly idea where they're going. I don't know if you saw this, but Jay Gruden had some comments like,
Is
hey,
he going to make it?
well, he missed the cut on Monday. Monday was Black Monday. He's there. I think he's sticking with it. But he made comments saying, Kurt, a little inconsistent. I mean, he could have played better. We were 7-9. What else can I say? So he didn't go up there and say, "Oh, Kirk Cousins is the best ever."
Yeah.
Crown him. He's saying, if we're not winning games or we're not making the playoffs, what am I going to say about my quarterback other than we all need to play better, including the quarterback? So maybe the Redskins are saying, let's see what happens. Maybe they look to see what is available in the draft. We got an early pick, 13. A lot of quarterbacks coming out. Maybe we're going to let them test it.
You're not picking a quarterback with him on the roster.
I mean, they picked a quarterback after they drafted a quarterback at number 2.
Yep, RG3.
I mean, that's how Kirk Cousins got drafted.
And
was
Kirk Cousins is the same draft.
They traded up for RG3. They gave up a lot to get RG3, and then they drafted Kirk Cousins. So it's again when it comes to the Redskins, I have no idea what it is they're doing, what it is they're thinking. The most intriguing thing to me about the Redskins is everybody is debating about Kirk Cousins. Is he a good quarterback? Is he good enough to win you Super Bowls? Is he good enough to get you to the playoffs consistently? Should the Redskins sign him long term? You know what you don't hear? Is Jay Gruden a good coach? Is Jay Gruden the reason why they're not going to the playoffs? Is Jay Gruden good enough of a coach to get you to the Super Bowl?
Is that what you're saying?
I just don't know why we're just focused so much on Kirk Cousins, the quarterback, and not even worried about a coach who has done nothing to fix his defense.
Okay, you're a bad choice. Is that what you're saying?
So Jay Gruden, I do think he has to prove himself this year. He's got one more year to really put it out there. But he's got, when you look at it, he made it to the playoffs 3 years ago. Last year was 1 game away from making the playoffs, and this year was about 2 to 3 games away from making the playoffs. So we almost have a diminishing returns coming. And then you have to look at the coach and say, what are we getting out of it? So I think Jay Gruden's done enough to keep his job this year, but he has to prove it on the field. Yes, there has not been enough discussion about that. I think a couple other things in the NFL have overshadowed that. One of being you have a coach that's 1-31 that keeps his job. So when you say that, how can you put all the pressure on a coach that is 7-9 when you've got all these other coaches? Guys like Marvin Lewis just got re-signed after there was rumor after rumor after rumor that he was going to be gone, and now he's coming back, gets a 2-year extension. So the coaches really haven't gotten the heat this year like they should have been getting. A guy like John Fox, yeah, he's been terrible for 3 or 4 years.
Oh, no, he's been terrible for 20.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a no-brainer. Some of these coaches that are gone, the ones that shocked me, like Jack Del Rio, I think that the Raiders, actually I know that the Raiders were where they are now because of Jack Del Rio. If you rewind 1 year ago, that team was on the upward swing. They had a great record. If it wasn't for that Derek Carr injury, they really would have been a competitor in the playoffs. And it was like, they're back. Jack Del Rio's got this team where they need to be. He's got the right attitude. He was going for it on 4th down on a lot of these plays, winning games because of his decision-making. And all of a sudden, a year later, Derek Carr gets injury early in the year. The team just doesn't quite gel like it should, and boom, give him the boot. After the Raiders, before Jack Del Rio came into town, they were bad for 10, 12 years straight. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, let's bring in John Gruden.
John Gruden, they're gonna pay him lots of money.
And ownership.
That's the
That's
rumor.
the worst.
And then John Gruden's a guy who won a Super Bowl, and then, I don't know, 6-7 years after that with the Buccaneers, did not win another playoff game. And yet somehow he's this genius of a coach who has only won a few playoff games in his career, but it's sandwiched in between a mediocre team in the Raiders and an awful team with the Buccaneers.
Gruden's an asshole.
So with Jack Del Rio, though, getting fired and everything else, this is one thing I don't like about media and sports fans in general, is we go into a season and we all claim the Raiders are a playoff team. The Raiders are really good. And then when the Raiders don't make it, that's an I told you so from Anthony, the mad genius. But when the Raiders don't make the playoffs, you know what we don't do as media people or as fans? We don't say, I was wrong. I totally did not call that at all. I was off the mark. Guess what? I said all year the SEC is down. I was right on that end. I thought that would translate into Georgia and Alabama losing. I was wrong. I can admit that. Instead of saying, oh no, Oklahoma and Clemson were overrated. No, I was just wrong. Guess what? You were wrong, media guy, and you were wrong, sports fan, about the Raiders. Anthony was right. Anthony looked at the team and said, this isn't that good of a team. Same with the Buccaneers. Buccaneers were basically gifted the NFC South. They were basically, everybody predicted them to make a deep run in the playoffs. Again, you and me, Anthony, were saying, I'm not buying this team. This team is not that good. Instead of people saying, I was wrong, they sit there and they blame Cutter and they blame Winston, and like they pass the blame off of, why don't you just say, hey, I was wrong about this team. I thought this team was good, and they weren't as good as I thought they were. I was wrong. And that's the way it is. And guess what? Jack Del Rio pays the price for not meeting fans and media's expectations.
Yeah.
I think that was the worst firing of this offseason.
It was.
The other ones we saw coming. I think a lot of them were predictable.
Some of them we thought would come, like Marvin Lewis.
Still
and
hanging
it
on,
didn't.
buddy. Hanging on.
And I like
And I
Marvin
like
Lewis.
it.
You got to admire him, man.
No,
you got to admire it.
I like it, though. I looked at his record. These last two seasons were kind of ho-hum. They were middle of the road. But all the seasons before that, he was 11-5, 10-6, 11-5, 10-6. His only knock is just he couldn't win a playoff game.
He's been to 7 and he's 0-7
7 in a
or
row.
something. Yeah.
If memory serves me correct, I grew up with the Cincinnati Bungles. That was the joke.
Yeah.
The only thing they had was what, Corey Dillon? And even
That
then
was a
they
long
were
time
terrible.
ago. Damn, that
But
was a long time ago.
Here you
Boomer
have Marvin
Esiason.
Lewis coming in.
Boomer.
And I had a conversation on Twitter about Marvin Lewis. People were saying, oh, I don't understand with the Cincinnati, but they should have fired him. And I said, listen, if you don't have a surefire replacement, what's the point?
That's another sticking
Because
point.
a lot of people want to fire their guy thinking they're going to get a Kirby Smart, but most of the time you end up with a Derek Dooley.
Yeah. It's so true. Marvin Lewis, I mean, like you're saying, Cincinnati Bengals, they were the Cleveland Browns. And
Yeah.
the Cleveland Browns have gone through coach after coach after coach. And the answer is always, let's fire the coach. Instead of like, let's get some consistency. Some of the best franchises have stuck with coaches through thick and thin. Now, you look at the Steelers, Tomlin, he's been having a winning record most of the time. But even if they had a down season, even with Cowher, it wasn't always 10-6, 11-5. There was a lot of 8-8 seasons in there, you know, but they always stick with their coaches. And when you know that you know you have job security, 2, you know your ownership has your back and your GM has your back, you're willing to put it all on the line. And Marvin Lewis, he's all in with the Cincinnati Bengals. He has had good performance. Now, is it hard to take a team like the Cincinnati Bengals and turn them into the Patriots? Yeah, you can't necessarily do that. But what he's done isn't really that bad where, you know, let's give him another year or two. Let's see. He made Andy Dalton look like a Pro Bowler.
A superstar.
I mean, to me, that's like making Brett Hundley looked like a Pro Bowler.
He pissed me off.
He did. You had it. What about Tolzien?
Yeah, you know.
What about Jacoby Brissett?
Well,
Brissett?
it's kind of like Pagano got fired, and I get it.
Yeah.
He didn't have a good record, but Pagano was also set behind the 8 ball with the fact that his franchise quarterback was injured, and the GM did nothing to replace him. And really, how can a GM replace a guy like Andrew Luck? It's not like you can just find a franchise quarterback hanging around at the beginning of the season.
Well,
Like
But
I'm not going to say Kaepernick is a franchise quarterback. I'll say he's a good quarterback. I'll say he's a good replacement to keep you afloat. But let's not jump too far by saying he's a franchise, surefire quarterback.
But what happened when the franchise quarterback in Indianapolis, Peyton Manning, goes out injured and they go 2-14? They fire the coach, Jim Caldwell.
you're right.
They don't care. There's not a loyalty
And
there.
then he got
Indianapolis.
fired. He got fired too for not making the playoffs enough for the Lions. Again, the Lions, another franchise that doesn't have a history of making the playoffs all the time. And when you give a little bit of success and then you don't get over that little hump, that little bar that you set, guess what? It's time to go.
But you know what? That goes back to the Tomlins and the Bengals coach. You know,
Or Tony Dungy.
those guys stay around long, and you know what? They'll produce for you. We in America, we're Americans, want everything instant. If it isn't now,
I love my
we don't want
coffee
it.
instant.
Yeah, that's disgusting. By the way, that's just absolutely nasty.
It's terrible.
But if we don't give these coaches 2-3 years, that's it. They're done. They suck. And anybody who knows, building an empire takes time. You're building a football team with different personalities, rosters changing constantly, but you want me to produce something steady for the next 5 years, and it's kind of impossible. My formula keeps changing, but yet we don't give people enough time, coaches enough time to get that done. So big ups to the Tomlins of the world that can stick around for 10, 15 years.
The Jeff Fishers of the world.
But not only that, but we also have this mentality of keeping up with the Joneses. Hey, Bill Belichick has won 5 Super Bowls and been to 7. Why is my coach not doing that?
Ben Belichick's been with the Patriots for how long?
No, but the thing is Tomlin can stay at the Pittsburgh Steelers and he'll have his 2 Super Bowls for the next 20 years. As long as Bill Belichick has been there, maybe it's less than 20 years, I don't know, but for a long time. And there will still be people that will say, well, we're not going to the Super Bowl every year, so he needs to be fired.
Yeah,
Because
agree.
they're not Bill Belichick. Well, guess what? Bill Belichick is a once-in-a-lifetime coach. He might be a once-in-a-forever coach. We don't know. Maybe there will be another coach someday that comes into the league and wins 6 championships or 7 championships and goes to 10. We don't know, but right now, Bill Belichick's the bar, and we're expecting everybody else to meet that level when he's the only one that's ever done it in the history of the sport. The trophy that he's won 5 times is named after a guy who's only won it twice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy. And he's only been there since 2000.
So Tomlin's won it as many times as Vince Lombardi, and there's people in Pittsburgh that want him fired because he's not winning it more than the guy that the trophy's named after. Mm-hmm. It's just insane to me. Just like Coughlin was forced out because he wasn't meeting that level of expectation. No, he got you 2 Super Bowls.
And this is another thing. People take, winning now, but people forget that he was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And then he didn't even get another job for the next 5, a head coach job for the next 5 years.
Right, until he took the Jets job for 15 seconds, and then the Patriots called and he's like, is that ink still wet? I'm going to need the whiteout.
Exactly. So, I mean, we want to win now, and we want that Bill Belichick, but hell, Bill Belichick took a long time to become Bill Belichick.
Well, think about that, though. The Browns, did they give him the shot he deserved?
They didn't.
They cut him
he was
too
there
quick.
for 5 years. 4 years.
I think they cut him too quick. I think he was starting to build that, and they gave up on him.
If memory
The Browns
serves,
are just cursed.
if memory serves me correctly, I'm sure a lot of those players that won that Super Bowl were on the team that he selected, that he brought into that Browns team that eventually moved to Baltimore Because he got fired
That
when, like
first one?
97?
95.
Oh, he's fired in 95?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was a little bit closer to that 2000 national championship. So maybe I'm wrong on that one.
National championship.
Or whatever.
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Did he win this 2000?
The
Well,
Ravens.
that's when the
won it.
Ravens did, yeah.
Remember, the Browns left.
There you go. Yeah.
The Browns moved to Baltimore, and then they got rid of that Cleveland curse and
Yep.
were able to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Eh.
It happens.
So, speaking of Super Bowl, we've got these playoffs coming up. So we
Are
got a
these
couple
real
games.
playoffs, or did some committee decide 4 teams that looked sexy and
No,
beautiful?
this is the real deal.
This is legit
This
playoff?
is
Okay.
legit. So let's talk a little AFC first, and then we'll finish with some NFC because there is a team on the NFC side that is looking really good. Panthers.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Yep.
Really? You going with
No,
that?
I'm just making him feel
You
good.
just suck
I'm
it up,
making him
man,
feel good
'cause
because he gave me
he's
some
got a
mad
tough
love to
first
my
rounder,
You
UCF.
just
man.
want to lift me up just to bring me
Holy, yeah.
I know,
really.
down. It's all that UCF love I gave
All
you?
that UCF love, you
Okay.
deserve that. You deserve that.
That
So,
team wears black and gold, too.
all right. So Titans Chiefs. How you guys feeling about this game?
Chiefs.
Yeah, I got Chiefs.
All right, so I think I have to go Chiefs also, but the Chiefs have made me nervous because they started out hot, they got cooled down, and they started pulling it together at the end there, but I don't know if I feel that as confident in the Chiefs as like I did earlier in the year, but the Titans I feel a lot less confident
Exactly.
in. The Titans just don't look that good. So I agree with you. I guess we're going to go pretty one-sided on this, all Chiefs.
Yeah.
Not much conversation with that, huh? Not a whole lot of debate.
Yeah, Titans suck.
All right, so this is the other game, and I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of debate on this one. Jaguars Bills.
I'm undecided. This game is hard
I'll
because
tell you who I got.
because the Jaguars are limping into this game, and I don't know if it's because the Jaguars are finally getting exposed, or if they just kind of decided we're not gonna get a first or second seed. We're pretty much locked into this third seed that we're at. So why even try?
If Bills don't play around with Tyrod Taylor, they'll win.
What does that mean? What do you mean play around with them? Like let them run around
I mean, they benched him in the middle of the season for absolutely.
I know,
crap.
but they came back.
Yeah,
They're not benching them in the middle of a playoff game.
Shit, who knows? That was stupid to bench him in the middle of the season. So look, this is what I'm going to say. I hope my boy Tyrod do something. I hope he. I think they're going to beat Jacksonville, and we'll see the next round.
I can see it happen. I think the Bills got lucky that the fact that they pulled the Jaguars, because would I rather play in Arrowhead or would I rather play in Jacksonville? I'd rather play in Jacksonville. It's probably going to be, I don't know, I have to check the weather. Right now it's 40. But Bills are used to that. I think it's going to warm up a little bit
playing
too.
in Jacksonville.
No, I know it's in Jacksonville,
Yeah.
so I'm saying it'll warm up and it'll be probably a nice 60 degrees. It'll be like a heat wave for them. The crowd, I don't know. Jacksonville, I want to see them as a successful NFL city because they're in Florida.
I do too.
But at the same time, I often forget Jacksonville's in Florida. Jacksonville's kind of, people don't realize this being out of state, but in Florida, Jacksonville's kind of its own little deal.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a big
Like,
deal.
Really, Orlando, Tampa, Miami, and Jacksonville are really their own little unique cultures
at
and
least-
deals.
But Orlando to Tampa, I feel like people go to Tampa to Orlando
Right.
to Tampa a lot more than people say, "Hey, look, let's go to."
Nobody's
Jacksonville
going
for
to
the weekend.
Jacksonville.
Let's go to Jacksonville
Yeah.
for the weekend. You're like, what? What's that? St. Augustine? Yeah, we're going to St. Augustine, not Jacksonville. But I've always liked Jacksonville. I've never been like a hardcore fan, but I've always been a fan. Like, I want them to be successful, but it's just something about this Bills team. It's just hard to put a finger on it. They're special. They're special.
All right, I'm going to go against you on that. I like the Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars, I feel like they've been a Jekyll and Hyde team. They've
Say it
looked
again,
amazing. Jaguar. They've been a Jekyll and Hyde team where some games they look like they're world beaters and other games they just look like they're so-so.
they've been a Jaggle and Hyde team.
Jekyll and Hyde.
World beaters?
World beaters. They've looked like world beaters.
Like Superman?
Like Superman.
Gotcha.
Like Bizarro World Superman.
I mean, the Jaguars' game plan is just going to be this: play legit defense like we've done all year, and
Don't throw
tell Blake
interceptions.
Bortles not to mess it up.
Yeah, don't throw
That's
interceptions.
it.
Don't fumble the
Hey,
ball.
hand the ball off to Leonard Fournette. and hope that Shady McCoy doesn't play because he's got injured in this last game. So he's questionable. If Shady McCoy doesn't play,
I gotta be shady, man.
I don't think. Why does he get? That's his name. That's his nickname. He's self-proclaimed Shady.
All
I'm
right.
just saying.
So while we're having this debate, does it really matter? Because do you see an AFC Championship game that does not consist of Pittsburgh versus Patriots?
Yes.
Let me watch this game.
Okay.
Let me watch Chiefs and
So I'm
Titans,
jumping too far ahead?
and let me watch Bills and Jaguars because I'm serious. Something special about this Bills team. It's just hard to put a finger on it. It's like destiny almost.
So what's crazy
Chiefs
is
could sneak in there too.
yeah.
Chiefs still Chiefs from week 1 through 5. If they show up, fuck yeah, I can see them beating the hell
What's
out of
insane about this is I honestly think it's going to be Steelers Patriots. I think we're clandestine for it, but again, that's why we have a playoff.
That's why we
because
have
you
a
have to
playoff.
play it
Play the
on the
game.
field. But if the Patriots make it again, I think this is like their 7th or 8th AFC championship. I keep wanting to say national championship. AFC championship in a row that they've gone to, which is insane.
Yeah, we're witnessing something very special with the Patriots, and it's not something that we will ever see again in our lifetime. There is so much parity in the NFL, but at the same time, the Patriots are trying to buck that system. Now, there are a lot of teams like the Browns and the Bengals that have never made it to the AFC Championship, or at least not in the last 100 or so years.
I don't think the Browns ever have, right?
Right. I mean, there's a lot of teams that have never won a Super Bowl
Yeah.
that are in the NFL. And you have the Patriots that are running amok. And eventually it's got to end, and you would think it's going to end when Tom Brady retires finally. But at that point, we have witnessed something that will probably never be witnessed again, and I think that's unbelievable. I think it's an awesome feat for us. But at the same time, anything can happen in the playoffs, and I like that about the NFL playoffs is it's one game, and all it takes is one guy getting hot and going off. Like for the Jaguars, Leonard Fournette has like a 200-yard, 3 touchdown game. He could single-handedly take over a game. Same thing, I mean, we're going to get into the NFC, but a guy like Todd Gurley can take over a game. And so you never know what you're going to get. That's that any given Sunday mentality. You don't know what you're going to get out of these teams. We can assume that, yeah, Chiefs are going to beat the Titans, but the Chiefs may not show up, and the Titans might be hungry to win a game, so it'll be, I don't know, fun to watch at the very least.
I think these games are going to be fun. I think this is going to be the funnest they are. We get real serious the week after, but I think this week is going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, it
The
will be.
wild card games are honestly usually really fun.
And like I
There's
said-
a lot of really good wild card games
Yeah.
where
Some
maybe
upsets
sometimes the
and-
next week that divisional round isn't as fun because then you start seeing why one team is the one
Yeah,
seed, the other
your
team
wild
was
card.
the lower seed.
Yeah.
So, but you do get a lot of these great wild card teams playing. Teams close, and again, that's why we just have the playoff,
Got to play the game.
like college football should have.
So, like you were saying with the AFC, it's very top heavy. I think the NFC is different.
It's spread out.
It's
even.
very spread out. So these games are going to be a lot more challenging for these teams. I tease the Panthers a little bit because you are a huge Panthers fan, Chris America over
Talk
here.
about that game first.
Let's talk Panthers Saints first. I mean, I could pick a team in this, but I have zero confidence that one team's going to be better than the other because I feel like these teams are very evenly matched.
This is why I wanted the Panthers to win, the Saints to lose, and the Vikings to lose because I really needed the Panthers to get that bye and that home field advantage because it's going to be tough for them to do the road that they have now, which is basically win every game on the road. And that's a tough thing to do in the playoffs. I don't care who you are, whether you're the Patriots, the Steelers, the Packers, whoever you are,
It's tough.
going every single game on the road is tough, especially when you look at they might have to go all the way out to LA. They might have to go all the way up to Minnesota or Philadelphia. I don't know what their seating is and how their road would map out, but with that said, I definitely don't want to go into New Orleans, into the Superdome, into their first playoff in however many years, and the fact that this is Drew Brees has got to know this could be my last
this
two
could
raw.
be last. Yeah,
So if
getting up there.
the Panthers team that showed up last week shows up again, the Saints are going to blow us out of the water. My hope is that in the NFL, it's really hard to beat a team 3 times, and that's what the Saints are going to have to do. They're going to have to beat the Panthers for a 3rd time. So the homer in me is going to side on that argument and that logic and say my Panthers sneak out a win.
Okay, so you took my sound bite. It's tough to beat a team twice. They've beaten you twice in the regular season. The last game was a little bit better than the first game,
Right.
But man, they beat you twice. It's tough to beat a team twice, but after you have beat them twice, I think that 3rd time is just like,
So you think
we
it's
know
easier?
you.
Yeah.
I think we know you now. Like, hey, look, you had a chance to beat us that second game and you didn't. We beat you. It's just a confidence booster. It's a confidence downer for the team that lost it. Like, shit, we already lost to this team twice. I think it's going to hurt you in the end. Cam didn't show up that first game. He showed
Right.
up that second game. But like you said, the last couple of games, Cam was kind of reverted to that Cam we saw at the beginning of the season. Like, is he on or is he off?
Cam just needs help in the running game.
True.
I mean,
that's something you don't have.
I love Jonathan Stewart. He's done us great for a really long time. But listen, with running backs, the tread on the tires, once it gets worn, you're done.
And I think
It's over.
And I think that's going to hurt you Saturday. I think that's going to hurt
Yeah.
you. What, Saturday? You guys play Saturday or Sunday? Sunday?
Sunday, 4 o'clock, I think.
I think it's going to hurt you Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, hey, look, my North Carolina Panthers. I'm all for them.
Oprah solid.
I'm all for them, pulling up. But then again, if they win, the price tag might go up too. So maybe
Oprah's good for it.
Oprah's good for you. You're right. She
Should
got
have sell
that
some
coin
stock
first.
in Harpo and Own. And
She don't even gotta do that. Just stop giving everybody cars and she's good to go. But look, I want them to win. I just don't think they will.
You're feeling Saints?
I'm feeling Saints.
I think I'm going to have to do this for you, Chris America. I am going Panthers.
Pin the onesie on it?
What?
We already got a onesie.
No onesies on it. I'm not that confident, but I do know that Cam Newton is a baller, and he's tough to count out. Once he gets his mind set to something, he can go out there and put that team on his shoulders by himself. So I'm going to give the Panthers the benefit of the doubt. They're going into a tough environment in New Orleans. The Saints have looked great, though they did lose against the Bucs this last week, but they had already wrapped up a playoff spot, so maybe it wasn't that important of a game for them. And, let's see what happens. Let them put it out on the field. And the last wild card game, we got the Falcons, and they are playing the Rams. What do you got?
Are you looking at me?
Yeah, we're looking at you.
This is a tough one. This is a tough one because you know what? The Falcons are pretty much the same team that they had from that Super Bowl run. And I have to believe something in there is a little hungry to get back there and prove like we can finish the job. They haven't looked that good at all through the season. Like you talk about limping in the playoffs, they're kind of limping in there. Obviously, they're wild card. Last season they took the week off and had a home field advantage.
But I think they rounded it out a little bit better as the year went on. Like, I think they started out rough and the middle was rough, but I felt like they gained momentum as the season went on and looked a little bit more like last year's
It
team.
wasn't as strong as it was last year by any means. And the Rams are the new guys in town. They're the new kids on the block, they call them, right? Those guys look fucking formidable.
Yeah, like Donnie Wahlberg,
I'm a toss up on this one. But
Joey McIntyre.
If I had to go with one, I guess I'm gonna go with Falcons just for experience. I think they're pretty evenly matched.
Good. I'm glad you picked them. Chris, what do you got?
Jackass.
Part of me wants to say Rams easily because the Falcons got to go across the country. They got to play at the Rams. Todd Gurley is on fire. This offense is on fire. And I'm with Anthony. The Falcons haven't looked that good. Again, this is why we have playoffs, though. There's been a couple of times where the Rams have played really good teams or playoff teams, and they didn't show up. The Minnesota Vikings shut them down. The first time the Rams played the Seahawks shut them down. There's been a couple of times where the Rams looked like the old Rams. But then there's been times where you look at them and they look unstoppable. They look like a team ready to make a run through the playoffs. So experience-wise, you want to pick Atlanta because they went to the Super Bowl last year. They've been there before. They know what it's like to win a playoff game where the Rams don't. This is all new to everybody for the most part on that roster that I can think of. Gurley's never done it. Goff's never done it. The coach hasn't done it. So what are we looking at here? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but smart bet tells me the home team wins it, but I wouldn't put any money on it. I'm going Rams.
All right, I feel confident in the Rams. I'm going to go Rams. One reason being that Sean McVay, former Redskins offensive coordinator,
Homer
pick there. No, I feel good about him. I think he is an up and coming, talented coach, and he's really gotten a lot out of this team. When you look at where they were last year, with a lot of the same pieces to where they're at this year, and they've added a few parts. They were the benefits of that. Bills selling their pieces, so they picked up some good wide receiver help. And I actually think Robert Woods is a better wide receiver than Sammy Watkins, even though he's not as recognizable as a name. But they picked up Robert Woods and Todd Gurley. He's running all over the place. Jared Goff looks good. I mean, it does make me a little nervous that Matt Ryan is on the other side of the ball because Matty Ice, he shows up in big games and usually knows how to play in those big time games. But I got to go LA. I'm feeling it. I don't know why. I just can't put my finger on it, but feeling good about the LA Rams.
All right. That's fine.
All right. So
I can't argue
What
with you.
are the seedings?
as far as who's in,
Like, I want to know who plays who next.
oh, it depends on who wins, I believe.
No,
too.
so that's why I'm asking what the seedings are. So I'm looking it up now.
All right, go check it out. Put it up.
It looks like, okay, so if the Panthers win, they'll go play the Vikings. If the Saints win, they'll go play the Eagles. If the Rams win, they'll play the Vikings. And if the Falcons win, they'll go play the Eagles. So I like whoever plays the Eagles. Man, it sucks to see the Eagles' run come to an end because they look so good this year. And I'm not saying Nick Foles can do it, but man, I would love my Panthers against the Eagles. Obviously, I have to wait till the NFC Championship game. I'd rather play the Eagles than the Vikings at the Vikings right now because I feel like you can beat Nick Foles.
So, who's the quarterback of the Vikings?
Case Keenum.
Now you've got the same predicament where you've got a team that's got that backup quarterback that has taken over. Now Keenum showed more throughout the year than Foles has had to because their starting quarterbacks got injured
Foles,
at
they got a
different times.
2-game sample size against okay teams.
But neither of them have the playoff experience.
Right, you're right.
That or the starting experience in long stretches.
So whose defense do you like more, the Vikings defense or the Eagles defense?
Yeah, I got to go Vikings. You're right. I mean, when you look at defenses, and that's part of the reason why I'm going Jaguars over Bills is because I feel like the Jaguars have a better defense. When you get into the playoffs, defense matters. So you're right, maybe going up against that. But I don't think the Vikings and the Eagles are so dissimilar as far as they both have similar quarterbacks that aren't necessarily the guys that you expected to carry them this far.
Right.
So I don't know if I'd necessarily count the Eagles out, but I'm with you where they might be the better draw when you're getting into that second round.
You like the winners of the wild card round to be able to beat the NFC divisional round. Like,
way better than the
way
AFC.
there, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
Those 4 teams in the AFC, I would not bet money on to beat whichever 4 end up winning out, whichever 2 end up winning out of that 4. I wouldn't put any money on them beating the Pittsburgh Steelers or the New England Patriots, but I could see any of the 2 winners of the 4 teams in this wild card round in the NFC. I would put money on any of those 4 to beat those 2 teams in the divisional round.
I have to agree.
I gotta watch the games.
I am with you, though. I mean, we're just predicting here. We're wildly guessing
yeah.
with our hearts and our eyes and our
I'm not done
brains.
with the AFC. I'm not. I think the AFC is going to surprise.
So you think the AFC is as wide open as the NFC?
I don't think it's wide open, but I think some teams might sneak in there that's nobody's watching.
Okay.
All right, real quick, and I'm throwing this out at you guys. 2 early Super Bowl predictions. Who do you think is going to go to the Super Bowl, and who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? One from AFC, one from NFC.
I mean, easy choice is the New England Patriots, right?
Right?
So
Doesn't mean that they're going.
no, but that's the easy choice.
Right.
NFC, I'll go Saints. I'll go in a last hoorah, Drew Brees, magical who dat run. I mean,
Okay.
they've looked very solid. They've looked very consistent this year. It's a good team. Drew Brees, I would trust over any of the other quarterbacks in the NFC right now. So Drew Brees, I think he's the only one with a Super Bowl ring in the playoffs for the NFC.
I mentioned it earlier on one of our previous episodes. I have 2 teams, one AFC, one NFC, that I'm jumping on those bandwagons for the playoffs.
And neither of them made the playoffs.
No.
Okay, because the Chargers aren't in.
Yeah, no, the Chargers aren't in. So out of the playoff teams, one's the Jaguars
Right.
and one is the Eagles.
Okay.
So that's my too early to make a Super Bowl prediction.
My too early prediction is one of the teams that made the Super Bowl last year will make it again.
All right, Falcons. Good choice.
I'm just being totally honest. Something's in the air, and I gotta watch the games to figure it out.
All right, well, if something's in the air, I think it's MVPs because I can feel it. I can sense it. I got my spider sense.
in the air.
You got your
tonight.
MVP? You want
Oh, I
to?
got
Is it
my
good?
MVP.
Hold on.
I mean, it's
Because
decent.
do you want to be the anchor? We can go first, and then you can finish it off for us.
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so
that means
it's
it sucks.
2018, and just want to say Happy New Year, everybody. And
Happy New Year.
Mariah Carey is going to be my MVP. She got to redo her horrific performance back 2 years ago, and she asked for a cup of tea while she was up there singing. I mean, it was just like, hey, look, you came in. She actually sung. She redeemed herself, but then she kind of got on her high horse and like everybody was peasants out there, I guess, a little bit. So to me, Mariah Carey, you're my MVP for bringing in the new year on your high horse.
All right, Chris.
My MVP is going to be athletic director Danny White of the UCF Knights for claiming a national. No, I'm just kidding.
Good choice. Good choice.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
you
going to
stole
go.
mine.
We're not doing this again.
I'm going to go the route of Anthony. My MVP is going to be. Now I forgot his name.
Britney Spears.
No, not Britney Spears.
She's a woman. She's all woman.
Why can't I think of his name right now? I got his face in my head. Family Feud guy.
All right, here.
Steve
let me go.
Harvey.
Steve Harvey.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, there you go.
So Steve Harvey.
Oh God, yeah, I know.
I was watching his show on the New Year's Eve thing. That dude had to have like 30 layers on, and he still looks cold. And that he didn't want to be. I swear, every single commercial break, he had to be checking his bank account and looking at that check from Fox to make sure that it's worth it. To make sure that he's like, I'm just gonna leave right now, and they can have their money back. But man, did that guy look like he was miserable.
He's
And
no
it was
Ryan
fun.
Seacrest.
No, he's no Ryan. Not in that aspect.
Steve Harvey hasn't been funny in years. I don't know why everybody still follows him and he's
The Family Feud stuff is funny. He's good on Family Feud.
I feel like the families make the show.
They do, but he is the perfect guy to help
He is.
egg them on. Like he helps like that whole thing. And I think that shtick works. Some of his other stuff is not so great. I'm with you on that. And I mean, he's had a really great run. A lot of respect to him. I know he's had some controversy, but you know, since we're going this route, mine's
going
gonna
to
be-
jacket a little bit. That was a woman's jacket he had on.
oh, was it?
I mean,
I didn't watch him. I fell asleep
I'll buy
early.
you one. Never mind.
All right, who's your MVP?
My MVP is going to be Gallagher. All the
What the fuck?
all the Sorry, I'm laughing at Chris over here. He's cracking up. All those years of smashing watermelons
Finally got hit in the head. What?
with sledgehammers. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got. All right.
What the fuck?
Tune
is
in next
that?
week where we'll discuss.
Hell no, man. That was it. That was it, motherfucker.
So I want to appreciate Gallagher. All those years of smashing watermelons with sledgehammers, it's just classic comic gold, and I want to appreciate you.
He
You're my
should've had a
MVP.
New Year's Eve show.
He should have had a New Year's Eve show before Steve Harvey. Gallagher.
And before Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, before Ryan Seacrest, tenfold.
No more beer for you, man. That you're just off, bro.
Thank you, Gallagher.
Fucking Gallagher.
He's
Tune
a big time listener.
Tune in next week where we discuss which Yankee candle are we. See ya.
Oh, you really? You mess with my Yankee candles, man?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's Vicks. It's not a Yankee candle.
Shit, I'm congested as hell. You don't feel that? You want some?
What is that white powdery stuff you're sniffing?
You want some? It's Vapor Rub. You want some?
That's not Vicks Vapor Rub.
Okay.
See ya.